Hi guys, in this video we're looking at Islamic medicine and the important individuals you need to know from the health and medicine topic in your exams. Let's jump in. Islamic ideas around medicine were far more advanced than in Europe during the Middle Ages. They managed to preserve ideas from the Roman Empire that had been lost in the West. Many Muslims also gave money to charity to build hospitals and develop ideas and treatments for health and medicine. And there were many important Islamic figures who had a key role to play in the development of medicine, and we'll go through them today. And we'll finish by touching on the use of alchemy in the Islamic Empire and the role this played in health and medicine. The only reason the work of Galen and Hippocrates was brought to Western Europe was because of the preservation of their work by Islamic scholars. One of the key figures who was responsible for preserving these texts was Hunayn ibn Ishaq. He was the best translator of his time, and he travelled from Baghdad to Byzantium to collect Greek medical texts and translate them into Arabic. Another important figure was Al-Razi. He was the first to distinguish between smallpox and measles. He also proposed the theory of acquired immunity. He had recognised this early on, that survivors of smallpox did not catch smallpox again. Al-Razi believed in observation, that doctors should observe patients and use logic to determine what was wrong with them, and he believed in natural causes of disease. He wrote over 200 books which were translated into Latin and used to teach in European universities. Abu al-Qasim was another key figure who developed awareness and understanding of many different ideas. He published methods for amputations, bladder stone removals, dental surgery, fractures, dislocations, and stitching wounds. Ibn Sina, or Avicenna, was perhaps one of the most important Islamic figures you need to remember. Avicenna was a Persian scholar who wrote the book Canon of Medicine, which developed ideas of human anatomy by building on the work of Galen. Avicenna kept alive ideas like the four humours theory and treatments by opposites. Treatments by opposites was an idea of Galen's, that the four humours could be rebalanced by giving the patient something opposite to the excess humour they had. For example, if you had an excess of blood, which would be seen as hot and wet by doctors, you would be prescribed something that was cold and dry. Avicenna's texts were translated into Latin and spread to countries like Spain and Italy. European awareness of Islamic ideas increased further during the Crusades. Many doctors actually travelled with the Crusaders to the Holy Lands, where they learnt from the Islamic doctors about ideas surrounding health and medicine. Ibn Zur was one of the first to question the ideas of Galen. Ibn Zur disliked medical speculation. He believed in experimentation and was actually one of the first to encourage experiments on animals before delivering procedures to humans. He's also credited with his work in identifying the parasite that caused scabies. Ibn al-Nafis also questioned Galen's ideas. He's also remembered for giving the first description of pulmonary circulation. Al-Nafis correctly recognised that blood flows from one side of the heart to the other via the lungs and does not cross the septum, which is the wall between the left and right-hand side of the heart. The Islamic Empire also brought alchemy onto the scene of health and medicine. Alchemy was an early form of chemistry in the Islamic Empire that was an attempt to turn metals into gold and also find a substance that gave eternal life. Historians have recognized the practice of alchemy as responsible for helping to develop other techniques in chemistry like distillation and sublimation. Alchemy in the Islamic Empire has also been credited with being part of the story of the development of certain drugs like laudanum, benzoin, and camphor. Let's go over those top banned key phrases to use in your exam when discussing this topic. Islamic ideas in medicine were far more developed than in Western Europe during the medieval period. This was because the Islamic Empire was more scientifically advanced due to their preservation of the works of ancient Greek and Roman scholars like Hippocrates and Galen. This provided Islamic doctors and scholars with a more rational and evidence-based approach, rather than the superstitious and speculative approach upheld by the Roman Catholic Church in Western Europe. Although Islamic scholars preserved the ideas of Hippocrates and Galen, they were not uncritical and still adopted new ideas. One of Al-Razi's 150 publications was called Doubts About Galen, while Al-Nafis challenged Galen's ideas about the workings of the heart. Islamic medicine also made important discoveries, such as Al-Razi, who distinguished measles from smallpox, and Avicenna, who wrote the Canon of Medicine, that developed understandings of human anatomy and certain medical problems like anorexia. A question you might get in your exam on Islamic medicine may be this: explain the significance of Islamic medicine. Well, this is where those key phrases we just went through are going to be really helpful. So take ideas and inspiration from them to answer this question here. And this brings us to the end of Islamic medicine. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.